Fit Journey, and I wanted to talk about some stretches and some tools to use for some stretches. And this is actually a product that my husband found. He's like, hey, I just found this, I want you to give it a try. So I'm going to be talking about this calf foot stretcher and what I had used in the past for the same thing. So as you know, I dance. I've been dancing. I started dancing when I was 5. That was a long time ago. And I have had all sorts of ankle, foot, calf, leg, everything injuries. And my husband knows that too. So when he sees something, he's like, hey, give this a try. So I'm going to show a couple things to use this with. This is DMoose, D and then the word moose. It's a calf and ankle stretcher that is good for dancers, gymnasts, if you're a runner or have any tightness in your legs. And the thing I like about it is it's super sturdy and it has these different notches in it so you can grab at different lengths. And I'll show you that here in a second. But I'm going to come back to these real quick. So when I do stretches in dance, or if you've ever taken like a bar class and like the bar method, something like that, a lot of times you do stretches and you'll have a strap or something. And I've just been using these scarves to do that. So if you're on your back and doing a stretch that way, I'll use these to pull my leg down. But they're slippery and they're really not the best thing. Anyway, so going back to this is a high quality neoprene, and I was really impressed with the Velcro. I have some ankle braces that are made for like basketball, and it has the same type of super strong Velcro, and it has a really long strap, and it has all these loops. So this is a nylon strap, and it has 6 loops on it, so you can grab at different points depending on your flexibility for that day. And that's something else too with me. I mean, I've been dancing since I was 5, but I don't have the flexibility that I did when I was 20. I also don't have the flexibility first thing in the morning, and I have to warm up to things. And it happens day to day. Sometimes we're more flexible than we were the day before, or depending on the type of day. So anyway, I'm going to show you a couple things with this. And for my purposes with dance, I would personally recommend getting 2 of them, and they actually do sell them in sets of 2. They come in 3 different colors. They have this is the black, obviously, a red and a blue, but you can buy them in sets of 2. So if you are just working on one leg, just one. But if you are doing a stretch class or something at home, I'd probably get 2 so you're not having to switch back and forth. But let me show you, laying on my back, what I would typically do with one of the scarves for a dance or a bar class. And my ponytail's in a bad spot. So lifting the leg up, typically I put it around my ankle and then pulling back from there. And then you could easily switch to the other one. That's where, with these, 2 of them would be handy. Now, where this comes in, because of the foot stretch, let me put it on real quick. Easy to put on. Strap goes up. Take this one, this is gonna go around the ankle. Slide it in, hopefully you can see. I'm not gonna undo this one, but just slide your foot in. I find that you wanna have this fairly tight across your feet, your foot, and strap it on that way. This is where you wanna have 2 so you're not having to undo it. And the nice thing about it, if you're doing a stretch here, you can grab wherever you're comfortable with these loops for that day. So if you're feeling super flexible and you want to go farther down, you can. So let's do one, because there was a couple stretches I did this earlier. Let me face this one. Okay. So the nice thing about this, so if I'm in a seated stretch, I have my non-working leg bent. I can pull it up. So I've got a flat back here, and I'm pulling it here. Not only do I feel it through my calf, I also have a nice Achilles tendon stretch. Now, if I'm just doing a regular stretch and I flex my foot, even if I go down, I have to grab my leg and pull it towards me, and depending on how flexible you are for that day, you may not be able to touch your toes. Because there are some times, like first thing in the morning, I can't get this far. And that's okay, or if I'm injured, so it's nice to be able to sit up straight and be able to pull at whatever's comfortable for you for that day and for your flexibility. So this is really nice. So doing like a flat back stretch, pulling it in here, nice long lines, and you can pull in more. The other thing about having a flex foot, if any of you have been in a dance class or have taught a class, you will see the dancers where their foot really isn't flexed. So there'll be kind of a halfway point in their stretching. This, and this is something I've said in a lot of classes, I call it active stretching. to make sure that my students are like, hey, are you actively stretching or are you just sitting there in the motion, in the movement? So here it's really nice where you have, it's almost like a forced active stretch. So I am occupying my arms with this part of it and I can feel it there. So if I let go of this, I know that I'm not actively stretching, if that makes sense. So anyway, you can go down as far as you're comfortable with that. So you could do this type of stretch. If you had two of them, you could hold it here, making sure everything is nice and in line. The other thing about this, it would be actually difficult for me to sickle my feet. So rolling my feet in, if I'm pulling on this, I don't have the tendency to roll my ankles in, okay? And I can take this to the side. So if I want to do a side stretch, right here, that helps with that rotation. If I want to rotate out, just pulling that leg over, reaching to the side, that feels really good. Because typically with this, even with a flex foot, here I can feel it in my inner thigh, but just by activating this just a little bit, I can feel it in my calf, in my ankle, and on my foot, and it feels really good. And again, you can go to whatever's comfortable for you. I wouldn't be able to do that with this. This one, I could wrap it around my foot, but I wouldn't get that stretch along my Achilles tendon. Okay, so going backwards, laying down, you can have that bottom leg straight or bent. Pulling this leg in. I'm gonna go bend that one. I'm gonna straighten it up. And here, a lot of times the foot, because we're focused on stretching through a hamstring, right? So a lot of time the foot is kind of in a neutral position. It's not flexed, it's not pointed, but here, you can really make sure that you're flexing that foot. And with the dancer stretch, bending the knee in, and then straightening up from there. So if your leg is here, and that's as far as you can go, that's fine. Because the other thing is if we are working on our flexibility and our leg may not be up that high, depending on where it is, your arms are not long enough to grab there, so you end up in this position, right? So this is really handy to be able to have those different loops depending on what your flexibility is for that day, right? So you can again flex and then stretching up. Now if you're super flexible like I was in my 20s, you could do the ones where you take the leg to the side and pulling it up towards your head. So a lot of different stretches you could do with these. I again would recommend, if you're going to be doing it more for yoga or dance or Pilates or Barre, I would get two of them so you can have them both ready to go, because it's not going to get in the way with this and it doesn't weigh very much, which is nice. So you could have them both on there. You could do your leg stretch, switch sides, and then move on without having to stop your exercise and then go on to the next one. So anyway, if you're looking for something like this, I definitely recommend it. The name brand is the letter DMoose, and I will have a link below that has information. So anyway, give it a try. See what you think.